The Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission presents Development of the 2011 to 2014 Transportation Improvement Program.
Hello, my name is Matt Pavlovsky, Public Participation Coordinator for the Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission. Today, we're going to examine the 2011-2014 Transportation Improvement Program, or TIP as it's more commonly known.
We will examine the following items and issues: an overview of SPC and public participation panels. What is the TIP, and how does it relate to the overall transportation planning process? The current timeline for the TIP. What are some of the issues and challenges facing the upcoming TIP? And finally, what can you do to get involved and remain informed with some help from the SPC website? So, what is the Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission? SPC is the region's recognized metropolitan planning organization, MPO, and the local development district, or LDD, and is the forum where commissioners, transit authorities, PennDOT, and other county, state, and federal agencies, and the public come together to establish transportation policies and priorities for Southwestern Pennsylvania. SPC is pretty unique in that it makes up about a quarter of the state, about 7,100 square miles, approximately 2.7 million citizens, and over 500 municipalities that run the whole gamut from urban centers like Pittsburgh to smaller cities like Greensburg and Newcastle to rural areas such as those found in Armstrong, Indiana, and Greene counties. From a transportation planning perspective, one of the things that makes SPC's region unique is that we deal with 3 different PennDOT districts and 10 different transit authorities. For more than a decade, the Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission has utilized a unique format for gaining public comment regarding transportation planning and issues. Public participation panels were developed to provide the means for educating the public and gathering feedback regarding projects and initiatives that affect our communities. Public participation panel members and the general public are asked to provide input regarding the following: the region's 2035 Long-Range Plan, the aforementioned Transportation Improvement Program, or TIP, air quality assessments and determinations for the Southwestern PA region, and our Public Participation Plan, which outlines SPC's efforts and approach to the public. To further define the role of the panels are a focused effort to involve the public in the planning process, are appointed individuals who represent the citizens of their community, county, and the region of Southwestern Pennsylvania. Inform citizens who understand the importance of infrastructure and connectivity, and demonstrate a vital role in the communication process as a two-way exchange between citizens and planning officials to exchange and clarify needs, conditions, and priorities. In order to mesh planning, organizational and individual roles, and the order and process in which they occur, next we'll discuss the TIP and other programming elements as part of the overall planning process. The first item in the planning process is the 2035 Transportation and Development Plan for Southwestern Pennsylvania, or Long-Range Plan. It is the mechanism for connecting the region's vision to an official, coordinated implementation program of projects and actions. It takes into account the region's vision for the future, and it identifies regional priorities and allocates money to project categories. That brings us to the Transportation Improvement Program. Consider the TIP to be the first stage of the Long-Range Plan. It's a short-range capital improvement program for implementing transportation projects. The TIP is the mechanism that delivers the vision outlined in the Long-Range Plan. The TIP is updated every 2 years in consultation with interested parties, and identifies projects to be advanced over the next 4 years. Since most projects are advanced in phases due to completion time and cost considerations, projects appearing on the TIP must be fully funded. Therefore, the TIP is considered to be the mechanism that advances those projects in phases. And our current TIP, the 2009-2012 TIP, became effective on October 1st of 2008. Our next TIP, the 2011 to 2014 TIP, and the process we are currently undertaking will be adopted in the summer of 2010. This brings us to the TYP, or 12-year program. Act 120 of 1970 requires PennDOT to prepare and submit to the State Transportation Commission every 2 years a program of transportation improvements that PennDOT recommends to be undertaken during the next 12 years. Projects included in this biennial program comprise the TYP, or 12-year program. With the policy direction of the State Transportation Commission, the 12-year program is developed to address the transportation concerns of the Commonwealth. Input is solicited from the public and interested parties through regional hearings. Transportation projects include all transportation modes: highway, bridges, aviation, rail freight, public transit, and all other transportation modes. The State Transportation Committee hearing for Southwestern Pennsylvania was held on November 5, 2009 in Pittsburgh at the Regional Enterprise Tower. More than 30 individuals offered testimony regarding projects across our region. So you've seen the various plans and procedures that make up the draft tip process. Let's briefly take you through the timeline of upcoming events and actions to be undertaken. On December 31st, SPC will submit the preliminary draft tip to PennDOT. By mid-February, PennDOT will provide its response to that preliminary draft. March 1st will see closure with PennDOT on the draft tip. During the March, April, and May timeframe, SPC will complete technical documentation and air quality testing. Then, as we move into spring, SPC will begin the process of the draft tip's public review and comment period in each of the 10 counties. And on July 26, 2010, the formal request for SPC's adoption of the draft 2011-2014 tip will be made. No planning process is free from constraints or concerns. The 2011-2014 tip is no exception. In fact, this particular update will face many challenges. Our next items of discussion will examine the current funding crisis and the associated issues facing the 2011-2014 tip. As previously mentioned, projects on the tip are fiscally constrained, meaning that in order to put a project on the tip, you must have funding in place. Over the past few years, a variety of economic factors have forced project costs to escalate. So in effect, the price of doing business has increased, and the costs associated with completing what is already on the tip have risen, forcing us to find additional funds for existing projects. Simply, it's become harder to pay for what's already been programmed. This brings an additional challenge to the idea of adding or bringing new projects to the tip. Essentially, new projects will have to be seen as vital to the advancement of the region's transportation system if they are to be added to the tip. It's important to note that some projects on the current 2009-2012 tip were able to be advanced via the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009, or more commonly known as the stimulus. Projects that had reached their final stages of testing and engineering, referred to as shovel-ready projects, as well as certain transit projects, such as overdue bus replacements, were advanced using stimulus funds. Even with the stimulus funds, some very difficult decisions will have to be made regarding what remains on the tip. It's likely that some projects will have to be delayed or deferred. The current funding levels do not meet the needs required for even basic maintenance and upkeep of our existing network. Most of you are already well aware of the funding issues facing the transit agencies and their ability to maintain facilities, replace buses, and meet growing demand for service. The current condition of our bridges. Approximately 700 of the state's 2,400 bridges are structurally deficient, and a large number of those bridges are in southwestern Pennsylvania's 10 counties. Not to mention the continued maintenance and upkeep of the existing road and highway network on both the state and local level. It's important to note that the TIP does not take into account for local roads, and additional sources of funding for those projects must be found as well. At a time when project delivery costs are escalating, only limited state and federal funds are available. Projected revenues from Act 44 may not be realized due to the state's current impasse and its federal request to toll Interstate 80. The impact of that loss would be severe to our region if this request or a similar level of funding is not in place. Future funding levels are also uncertain as we operate under an extension of the Safety Loo legislation, which had a September 30th, 2009 expiration date. The new federal authorization bill, which was supposed to go into effect October 1st, 2009, will identify funding programs and fund allocations for future transportation improvements. Federal officials continue to work on the development of new federal legislation, a process that could take months or years. It's important to note that operating under the extension of the current safety law legislation merely maintains the previous system, which is not meeting the demands of our infrastructure needs. In review, we have covered the following: an overview of SPC and the public participation panels, the 2035 Long-Range Plan, the TIP, and the 12-year plan, the current timeline for the upcoming TIP, current issues and concerns facing the draft TIP program, and we have the current milestones ahead: development of the draft TIP, public review of the draft TIP, testing and technical documentation, and final public review in spring of 2010. The process for involving the public is ongoing. Look for continual updates and pertinent information at SPC's website on the World Wide Web at spcregion.org. Also be alert for upcoming notices regarding public meetings in your counties regarding TIP information. Local newspapers, libraries, county planning offices, and of course the SPC website are all great sources of information. Attend your public meetings, ask questions, and let us know what's important to you. For your input, we have established an easy-to-remember email at comments@spcregion.org. In fact, you can use it to comment on today's webinar, the TIP process, or any transportation-related questions you may have. Your input is always appreciated.
We thank you for watching this presentation. Again, we look forward to your feedback, and we'll look to make use of similar types of programming in the near future. Again, my name is Matt Pavlovsky, and on behalf of the Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission, we thank you for watching.